public figure, and they're
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sean Spencer,
And I'm Tina Winter.
and welcome to Let's Talk Football Breaking News. Tina?
Free agency season has started. We're hearing a lot of reports, different things going on. So I'm going to discuss some of the moves for various parts, whether it's franchise tagging, free agency, extensions, etc., including one of my own wide receivers that looks like he could be on the move to another team. Sean?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And I will be talking about the NFL Combine, talking about a lot of these rookies that are these guys that are going to be drafted into the league, as well as some notable absentees. And will that actually affect their status, their draft stock? And I will also be talking about which college teams sent the most players to the NFL Combine. It's going to be quite interesting. Tina?
And once we're done talking about the youngins that are trying to make their way into the league, then we're going to talk about some news and some notes concerning one, a certain three-time Super Bowl winning head coach. And I'll also answer some questions about the proposed changes to the kickoff turn rules that the NFL is considering at this time.
We'll definitely get into all of that on this being Let's Talk Football Breaking News. But I'm going to send it to you, Tina. Let's talk free agency.
Okay, free agency. Not officially yet, but they can do extensions for various teams. And so there's been a lot of news that's been hitting about that. Teams are releasing players in order to gain some cap room so that they have money for free agency or for their franchise taggies. So that's what's going on right now. So the big one right now, Shaq Barrett, who is a two-time Pro Bowler for the Buccaneers, has been released for cap space. All I have to say on this one is, come back, Shaqy. Come back to Denver. I'll take you. As Sean and I discussed in the last episode, T. Higgins did get franchise tag. Yes. That was one that everybody was kind of like, that's going to happen. Mm-hmm. The Jets released Laken Tomlinson because that will save them $8.1 million against the cap. So we'll see what happens. He could always come back, but at least that's what they're doing right now. Jonnu Smith, the tight end at the Falcons, from what I could see, had a pretty big season this year with almost 600 yards, was released because that's a $6.5 million savings on the cap. And then there's two bits of information that came out. One, the Ravens gave testimony at the Combine that if Justin Madubuike, if they don't come to a deal with him before the franchise tag starts, they will franchise tag him. So he's going to be getting some pay on that one too. And the same with the Panthers. They're going to tag Brian Burns too. So the last one, this is kind of interesting because I know a lot of Detroit fans will like this bit of information. Jalen Reeves-Maybin, who is on their special teams, has been given a 2-year, $7.5 million extension from the team. And with this will make him the highest paid special teams player in the league. And actually, I think in history. I'd have to check on that one. But the last one we're going to go to is my wide receiver, which is the news coming out. And this is the thing, like it kind of came out like it was news, but it's really just a proposal from Bleacher Report. But it's one of the few proposals I've heard that I'm like, this could actually work. Is that the proposal is Jerry Jeudy from Denver would go to the Patriots. And in return, Denver would get a 3rd round draft pick. So that's the proposal. That's the idea. We'll see what happens with that. But I do think Jerry's going to get traded. He's in the 5th year of his rookie contract. Yeah. If they don't trade him, he gets $12.3 million.
Ooh, no. Oh, no.
So he's either going to be traded or he's going to be asked to rework his contract because the funny thing is I looked into this a little bit over the cap. wonderful website for people if they're interested in cap space and what the contracts are and how they work. His evaluation for 2023 was around $6 million.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my opinion, what he did on the team is not worth $12 million.
And that's the point I think we have to look
Mhm.
at. Is it worth? Can you justify what he's making? And look, there's a number of other guys out there, Michael Pittman Jr., Curtis Samuel from Washington. There's number of other guys out there that you could potentially get for cheaper or just a more team-friendly deal that can work with and might have a better chemistry with Russell Wilson. And we'll dive into a little bit of Russ later. But thank you for that, Tina. Hey, this time of the year is also NFL Combine, the Shrine Bowl, the East West, all those things have happened. The pro days are coming up and the Combine is here. We're going to see a number of names, number of great players that have played throughout collegiately. But I think the main point we need to focus on right here, Tina, is there's going to be a couple of prominent names that will not be there. Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels will not throw at the Combine, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is expected to miss the Combine as well. On one side of this, Tina, I completely understand everything that we've needed to see from especially these two quarterbacks. Everybody has already seen. If a song says, if you don't know me by now, then you'll never know me. And I think that we can place that on the two of these guys. Jaden Daniels, 40 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, along with 10 more rushing touchdowns. He's an elite player. His ceiling is super high. Last year's Heisman Trophy winner, and then the 2022 Heisman Trophy winner, Caleb Williams. He's been the number 1 pick since this entire year. It's back to last year, so everybody knows what they've seen from him. The most interesting one that Tina, I actually like to get your opinion on, Marvin Harrison Jr. expected to miss the Combine. He's far and away the best wide receiver, and in fact one of the best players, and we know the pedigree. His father was great under playing with Peyton Manning all those years. But is this going to hurt him not being at the Combine?
Well, it's also not going to be there for their pro day too.
Right.
So even Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels doing this, I think it's going to affect them when it comes time for drafting, because the pros want to see how you handle hard situations, such as your number 1 and your number 2 are out of the game and you need a third that you don't even practice with. So they're going to want to see that. So, I mean, I get exactly why they're doing it. They don't want to do anything at that time that could affect their draft capital.
Right.
But everybody kind of already knows what their weak points are. And if you don't do this, you only throw at your pro day, which is only showing your best. It's not showing you at an adverse position. Drake May, Nix, Bo Nix, Penix, McCarthy, those guys could jump in front of you if you, because there's a lot of teams out there that need this possible franchise quarterback. But are you going to put money into somebody that's literally saying, I won't throw at the Combine?
Right. And I think that's something that we might all look at, or the players might look at, is, oh, this is just an extra thing. And some of these guys don't feel like they do need it. But I think it says something else. These are part of the events that you have to do for the NFL. And once you get to the league, there are a number of events that you have to go to outside of just, practice and stuff, but a number of other team events and media events that you have to go to. And if you're not doing something like this, and I get it, I mean, let's be honest. Like I've said, Caleb Williams, this entire year, if he did not play a snap, would always have been regarded as the number 1 quarterback and potentially the number one pick coming out. That's a detriment to him. He had a decent season. Let's get it, not get it twisted. He had 30 touchdowns, but I do need to say that he had 21 touchdowns against in 5 games where it's less than subpar talent. It was pretty bad, but he was able to dominate in those type of games. So that's going to be great. But like you said, these two guys, I really think, and we won't see that in a combine or in a pro day fashion, but I want to see, can they go and throw with anybody? Can they, it doesn't have to be just their guy and their coaches and their situation. Can they deal with adverse situations that that the pro day and the NFL combine might not show out? But I think you being there, being a part of a team, everybody there is an individual trying to make something of themselves. And for you to kind of put yourself above that, I get it, maybe in a sense where maybe you don't want to get injured, but at the same time, you can get injured anywhere, man. This is something I think you just need to do. That's my opinion, but that's where I stand.
Yeah, I readily have, I just pulled this up because I had to look at it. So Caleb Williams, when he beat up on those like bottom feeder teams, when he was winning those 5 games and everything, their combined record for those teams was 19-42.
Right.
And and see, this is why I think this is a bad decision for him.
Right.
And it's a bad decision for Jaden for another reason I'll get into. But the reason for Caleb is that you recognize you had a problem, that your team had a problem this year. Now, granted, the defense for USC wasn't that good this year. Okay. So he was coming from behind all the time. So I get that. But when you are only able to beat the bottom of the barrel, which we should have another discussion on how all these games are decided, because that in and of itself is an amazing thing, what they do in college ball.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And so him just saying, I'm not gonna throw in a situation where I will be uncomfortable, that I can act, that person will catch my balls. My thing is, what's going to happen is if you throw it 30 yards and the guy doesn't catch it, or he fumbles it or whatever, it's not going to reflect on Caleb. It's going to reflect on that wide receiver.
Right.
Because there's 2 people in that situation that need to prove to the scouts that they should be drafted. It's not just, oh, I'm the number 1 possible quarterback. It's, oh, I'm number 45 in wide receivers and I'm trying to make it on a team.
And that's the other side to it. And in fact, that him not going through those motions and going through those pro days might be taking attention away from this random wide receiver that's trying to make a name for himself, that does not have that notoriety, doesn't have that attention that Caleb has on him. So I completely agree with that. Now, in Jaden Daniels' situation, I think is much different. Obviously, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., both these guys, elite wide receivers that will be at the combine. So we'll see them in action. But I mean, that's another situation where you're looking at the 2 of them and you're like, yes, these are top 10, top 15, top 20 picks that could potentially move up, maybe not to Marvin Harrison levels, but still, it's just more beneficial, in my opinion, to go through with this. Even if it seems like going through with the motions, it's still more beneficial to do it, because there's things that I think you could help, and it's also a leadership thing. I think you showing up just for the optics alone is a huge deal. And sometimes, I mean, going into these type of situations, you might not have to. Maybe your agent, or even if you don't have an agent, maybe you're just saying, oh, I don't want to. Sometimes being there, being accountable, that's kind of something that people need to see. So
yeah. And one of the things I also think that this goes to too is, and it's something in the video that you and I both watched from Brandon Perna. He pointed out that Caleb and Jaden have had running wide receivers that they've been throwing to that are very, very good, and they've been able to dominate that way. Well, what happens if they get picked up by a team like the Patriots that they're talking about for Jaden? They don't have a wide receiver core that is as good. I mean, the wide receiver core they had wouldn't even make it onto LSU's team.
Yes. They would be second and
So,
third string
right.
easily. Yeah.
So, if you're not throwing to somebody you don't know, or you are only going to throw to your guys, which are
Mm-hmm.
in the top 10 wide receivers, you're showing that team you're only comfortable with your guys. What's
Mm.
going to happen if we bring you in and you cannot create
Yes.
a connection like we're going to talk like with Russell and those guys? If you
Yeah.
can't create that connection, you're done. You're going
Right.
to be out and it doesn't matter.
Right. Right.
So
And
that's the
that's
thing
why.
that I look at. Yeah,
Right.
like
And that's why
they're
that's something
going
we're gonna have to look at.
they're going to be all these guys that are in the top 5 quarterbacks are going to be going to teams that are 500 or less.
Struggling.
Let's
Right.
just they're struggling. No one's going to get on well, no one's going to get on like the Packers where we all
Mm.
know they pretty much create quarterbacks of the future. So
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to get that. You're going to get so not what you're used to using. So
Yeah.
I just think it's a bad decision for both of them.
Oh yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
I
Which is
understand the
why
reasoning why.
which is why I think Drake May will be the best of those three because he can deal with those situations, but I'm biased. We got to move on really quickly, staying
Yep.
here in the combine. I did want to talk about we talked about this, the amount, number of schools are represented as we know, and surprise, surprise, the national champions, Michigan, leads the bunch with 18 prospects that are going to be going to the combine, followed by Washington with 13, Florida State with 12, and then Texas and Georgia tied at 11. I I definitely am not surprised by this. And a lot of these players from Michigan, obviously the JJ McCarthy's, Blake Corum, number of big name guys. Zinter, even though he's hurt, he'll be definitely going at the combine. A number of these guys are elite. I am not convinced that they're not going. I'm not convinced they're not going to follow Jim Harbaugh some way,
Mhm.
shape, or form to LA. It's got to be a part of that. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Or they might go to Detroit. Jared Goff, I heard they might not be picking up his 5th-year option and might end up tagging him next year. They might be looking at JJ themselves. So it's going to be interesting to see. Are you surprised at all by this? I mean, Florida State, Georgia, Texas, these are all the
No.
powers, the perennial powers.
These were the top 4 teams in the country this season. So I'm not surprised by that at all. They're all those boys are gonna want to make a run for the NFL to see what's going to happen. Now, do I think all 18, 13, 12, 11 are going to make it? No. Some are probably going to get picked up in free agency, etc. So but it doesn't surprise me. There's so many. I mean, these are the guys that got invitations to go. So the NFL is looking at them and saying, okay, we think you guys can make it here. Come and prove your worth.
Right.
So everybody forgets that about the combine is that you have to get an invitation.
Right. Right. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because there's a number of names that did not get attention. A lot of these names might not be well known. I do want to talk about Illinois. Christian Boyd was not invited,
Yeah.
and somebody that I talked about from who started in the MAC at Ball State, Carson Steele. And first and foremost, Tina, I mean, I don't know if you read any of those sultry novels, but that just seems like a name that should be Carson Steele. His chest rippled, But this guy,
Yes.
and he looks the part. He looks the part. Blonde hair, going all the way down his back. So at 6'2", 200, something, 220 or something like that.
What
But this
position
guy
does he
had
play?
running back. He plays running back.
Okay.
This guy led the nation, or either led the nation or was like top 3 in the nation a year ago in running at Ball State with over 1,500 yards. Transfers to UCLA this past year. Doesn't have the best of numbers. He was in a committee of running backs. Still a top tier back. Was not invited to the NFL combine. So hopefully he'll continue to try to keep moving on. But I was interested in that. But there's a number of guys that have not been invited and still going on to have successful NFL careers. So it's not all
Yeah.
lost. But
I think I know why he wasn't invited because he wasn't at UCLA the entire time. He was
Very
in the
true.
MAC the first couple of
Yep.
years.
Yep.
And the MAC, while a really good conference,
Mm-hmm.
it has hits and misses when it comes to they don't tend to get invited to combine
Yes.
unless it's for something like my alma mater NIU when we played the Orange Bowl against FSU and that kind of stuff. We had a few that got Garrett Wolf got asked, a few others, but that's just it. They just don't really. Jimmy Ward is one that did get through the
Right.
combine and he ended
Right.
up. But it's
It's
most
few
the
and
reason
far
I
between.
asked is it tends to be linemen or defense
Yeah.
in the MAC. So that's why I was asking. So when you said he was a running back, I was like, oh, that guy.
That guy. Yeah,
Then I
and well,
knew who he was.
and I definitely want you guys to stay tuned this fall when college football comes back. Tina and I will be looking into the MAC conference because there's a lot of talent there, a lot of great games, and my personal favorite. These are the games that are going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday during the middle of the week. Great weather. Absolutely love it. Want to shout out Tyler Helton saying, I want my team to pick up Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Chiefs. The rich getting richer.
Keep
That's
dreaming. It's not
yeah,
happening.
that's not
He's going to
happening.
be
They would have to,
gone way
yeah,
before the
they'd
Chiefs
have to give
pick.
up way
Sorry,
too much.
Tyler.
And any thoughts on Justin Jefferson leaving the Vikings? Hey, going back really quickly to free agency and all that, I do not think it's going to happen. In fact, I believe their owner or their coach came out and
Their
said,
owner came out and said he's not being traded.
right.
Yeah,
So, but
he's
on,
staying.
on the flip side, we know he's going to reset that wide receiver market when he gets paid.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, I
He might
mean,
get an extension. He might get a new contract because, again, he's under his rookie contract. So they might want to renegotiate that to keep him. But he's not leaving, is what they
right.
said. And that to me tells me that they're probably also working to have Kirk Cousins stay too. Because
Hmm,
Kurt has said he needs Jefferson. He wants Jefferson to stay.
right.
So we'll see. See how that goes.
Yeah.
So
It's gonna be very interesting, especially with all those Kirk rumors to Washington. We don't need that. Yes. So, yeah, and that look, so that the combine is here, but look, we have to move on because this off season is going. Tina, I'm gonna send it to you with the NFL storyline. What you got?
all right, I'm just going to start off with the big one. And Tyler will like this one because it is about his Kansas City Chiefs. I made a prediction myself on Roundtable that I thought that if the Chiefs won this year, that the head coach Andy Reid would retire. He is not going to retire, and they have already announced that they are working on a contract extension with him. So Andy Reid is going to be with the Chiefs for a while. So Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Kelsey and those guys are going to be around for a while. Unfortunately for my team
Yeah.
and my division.
Oh.
The second thing, we talked about this in the thing. So the NFL has announced today that their rules committee and their competition committee is looking into revising the kickoffs. It's not CFL, sorry.
Oh,
It's XFL.
XFL. Yep.
We just roll with the punches here.
Yeah, there we go.
So for people who don't follow the XFL, I will explain it to you. And it's complicated to me, but I guess it's something that's been working. So the way that it starts is the kicker is at the 30-yard line,
Mm-hmm.
and the other 10 members of the kicking team are on the opponent's 35-yard line. They are, and then the opposing team's line is 10 yards from that, I think it is, and
Yep.
then their returner is behind that. But
Yep.
what is the big deal about this is that the only people who can move before the kickoff, because like it goes and everybody goes at the same time right now, the kicker has to kick first, and no one on those two lines can move. The kicker or the punt returner can move at any point until the kicker kicks the ball. Once the
Mm-hmm.
kicker kicks the ball, then both sides can move. And the reason this is being done in the XFL kind of implemented this is because there's only 15 yards before the players kind of collide, you aren't able to get up to full speeds, full velocity, and there aren't as many concussions.
Right.
So that's what the XFL does. Now, whether or not the rules committee that this will be exactly how they do it, that will be decided. And according to Rich McKay, he's saying like they're going to be talking to special teams coordinators. This is going to be something that's going to be gone around. Oh, and touchbacks will be at the 35-yard line. So right now, everybody's at the 30, the kicker's on the 32, and then everybody goes all at the same time. Um, if this happens, we're not going to have any more roughing the kicker calls anymore because you're not going to even be able to get to them. You're not going to have any issues of somebody got off the line first, et cetera, et cetera.
Offside
It
penalties, right?
will, offsides, it will, however, change how you do an offsides kick, though.
Oh, very true. And that's going to be the interesting part to see how you can you even do, does that totally eliminate the onside kick from the game? And I mean, look,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we already know there's been, an unofficial agenda to get rid of kick returns in the
This
NFL.
is it's the one section that has the highest amount of concussions
Yeah.
overall, besides quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah.
So it's all about trying to get rid of concussions and things like that. But they're
Mhm.
also like we want more points to be scored. We want better kickoffs. So if your kicker is kicking it and your guys are at their 35-yard line, that's going to make things interesting. It's going to
Very true.
change how even
Field position.
field position, how you defend against it, how
Right.
you try and get through, like what and they're probably still going to keep it like you can't do the wedge still, you can't the
Right.
few rules that they have.
And
So
so, but that's what I have a problem with, because
mhm.
especially in the year that we're just putting in Devin Hester into the Hall of Fame, Brian Mitchell, my guy, local DC legend, you're taking away a position that, I mean, these guys were electric. Deion Sanders made a name at this position. You know what I mean? Think about it. Going back to college, Desmond Howard, Charles Woodson, these guys made a name from this position. And I really think it's a detriment to the game to take it away. But everything moves on, and like you said, Tina, it goes to the amount of points. They're just trying to score as many points as possible. So what's
Mhm.
going on, Ab? How you doing, man? Welcome to Let's Talk Football breaking news. And for those of you who are just now joining us, I am Sean Spencer. This is my amazing co-host Tina Winter. And Tina, I hate to have to do it to you. Actually, this is actually great, Tyler. Exactly. It is going to be more safe. It's going to be safer.
It's a
And
safety condition.
for that part, I love that, because we are going to a safer kind. But, I don't know how far we are from being flagged, wearing flags and everything, but we'll see. We'll definitely see. Look, we got to move on to our last little topic here that we have, Tina. Yeah, I agree. Good call. You're
I had one other
I'd
piece of
forgotten it.
I had another piece of news that I was going to talk about, but
Yeah.
I want to get to what we were to our discussion
Right.
on the issue
Right.
because even though I'm a Broncos fan, and there's a lot of my stuff on the Today Show, which I'm happy for. This
Mm-hmm.
I think does need to be discussed in more detail. So next week I
Absolutely.
will have some Tom Brady news for everybody. So all those Brady fans out there, tune in next week, and you'll be happy with this news if you haven't already seen it. Some people might
Right.
have seen it already.
Yeah. If you're a Raiders fan, well, if you're a Raiders fan, you've been struggling for years, so I'm not concerned with that. Look, ladies and gentlemen, you need to stay tuned for Tina's Corner. Wait, the Corner Office. Do I have that one on here?
Yes, yes.
Do I have it on one? Hold up. Give me 1 second, because I know I have it somewhere. The Corner Office, ladies, and there it is. Yeah, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, so you are definitely going to tune into that, because Tina is going to talk all of the legal aspects of a lot of these situations with contracts, with how the league will take care of suspensions and things of that nature, but also just diving into gambling, diving into injuries, diving into the free agent tag, all of these type of things. And Tina, what you had said that you were going to focus on what again?
I wasn't able to get it done, but I promise you guys I'll get it out this week. I'm going to look into the Jackson Jaguars situation, and the situation that they have with FanDuel, in the terms that they're trying to get some money back from FanDuel because a member of their organization gambled a lot of money with them. I'm going to save, like I said, I'm going to save the Tom Brady for next week. And I'm going to look into some of I want to see, like, if we have closer when we're starting, like, we'll start seeing some of these gambling situations that I want to see if last year's hit, which was a rough one for a lot of people, if that hit might actually curtail what's going to be happening with gambling. And the other thing I do want to get into a little bit more, and I didn't do it, is I want to get into the PED policy, the performance enhancing drug policy, because it's detailed. It's not something that I want to sit there for 15 minutes and everybody having questions left and right and all that other stuff. But I do want to say this. You have anything legal, questions, contract situations, something like that, let me know. I will look into it. Based on what Ab was saying, I am going to actually look and see if my math was wrong that I did earlier. He might be right. I'm going to check with Over the Cap and see. Sports agents. Wow. I went to a guy who actually ended up a sports agent, and 90% of those guys are lawyers. A lot of people don't realize that. Most of them are lawyers. So start into that law. Start studying. Yeah. Yeah. So I think there's a little bit difference. I use over the cap because it breaks it down year by year and actually shows like what is dead money. So the 85 million that I came up with is the dead money that the team has to pay him. But dead money also includes his guaranteed money. Some of it is what hits the cap. So that's kind of where some of those numbers are. But I'm going to look into it, because I don't want to say anything that's wrong. It's the lawyer in me. I have to admit and retract if I need to.
Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, look, we're going to let you go. We are here. Let's talk football. Breaking news. I am Sean Spencer.
And I am Tina Winter.
And we will be back next time. Tune in to all the news and notes that are going on. I'll track it. You good with me? There you go. Oh yeah. We're gonna bring Tina on with a lot of our stuff, man. Because she can talk this game, man. Absolutely. And as you can see, a 30-minute show went to an hour because when Tina and I get together, we're not stopping. It's just gonna keep going.
It's gonna keep going. We keep having that 30-minute timer, and it just nope.
I didn't even think about that.
I think you and I could. Yeah, we'll talk later.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for watching us just entertain each other. So
yes.
Bye.
We'll see y'all next time. Stay tuned. Be cool, people. Washington had no hesitation in this offseason. They hired Bob Myers, a special consultant.
They're taking advantage of the fact that players and celebrities are public figures.